Hello, welcome to the Retro Game Club podcast, Season 8, Episode 3, which is also Episode 214. I am Rob, and joining me is someone who also only has time for short games lately, Zach.
Hey, yeah, everything's so busy now. Even short games are kind of hard to get to.
Yeah, I mean, have you noticed too that, not just our Discord, but every Discord I'm on, I feel like our emails are slow. Every Discord is slow. Even Twitch streamers and YouTubers seem either really busy and stressed out or just doing it less. I don't know. Everyone seems busy right now.
I've definitely noticed the lack of email, which we will not be addressing today. And yeah, the Discords have slowed down, but it's been worse. We've gone through drier spells on the Discord, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely not just us. It's
no,
all
like
around.
all of them, yeah.
Yeah, so let us know. What are you
Maybe
guys
it's
busy
me.
with?
Maybe it's because it's only the ones I'm in.
I don't know. It was nice having you back, but those emails came in through. Would that have been in one of your episodes, or was that someone else? Was that a guest host? I can't remember 2 episodes ago. That was you, right?
I can't remember 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago was me, yeah. But yeah, it was nice to hear Hugh again. It was like, I don't know, what do you call it? He was falling off a bike. He was fit in just like he always did. And it sounds like he had 0 prep time, which makes me insanely jealous.
It was 0. It was minutes before. I was like, hey, you feel like recording?
Did not come off that way.
Neither can I. Everyone knows I'm slightly dyslexic and have to read everything ahead of time. Well, what have you been up to since, other than busy life, busy work?
Well, in terms of gaming, I finally finished Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I don't have any real complaints. I liked it. I think it's probably the 3rd best Metroid Prime game. And I know a lot of people had a problem with the ending. I won't really go into it, but didn't bother me at all. I liked it. It was fine.
Does it without spoiling the ending, does it complete the Prime story, or is it kind of standalone?
I think it's the first in a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
A new trilogy. So it's a start. And so I think that what people are complaining about, I could see them addressing that in the next game. I don't really need them to. I, again, didn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
If you finish the game, you know what I'm talking about, and you probably think that I'm cold-hearted, but it's okay.
Do you consider Prime Pinball in the pinball series when you ranked it as 3rd best?
No. I left out. So I'm only talking about the 4 Prime games and Hunters.
I forgot about Hunters. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't, not counting Prime Pinball just because it's so different. I've never played it all the way through because I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of a retelling of the first Prime. And I left out Federation Force because that's not a Metroid game.
Yeah. It's Metroid adjacent, maybe.
But besides that, I think I might have brought up that game Diora before on the Playdate. It's like a $15 game on a Playdate, which is a lot for a Playdate game. But it's incredible. It's just to remind people, it's a kind of isometric view, but you can rotate around the Z-axis to help you solve the puzzles, and some of them require that. And I had originally likened it a bit to the Monuments Valley games, where depending on the perspective that you have on those, you can walk on different things. They're kind of like MC Escher drawings.
Okay.
Right? And I said looks like that, but none of the puzzles were like that. But it does become like that later on for a couple of stages, which was pretty cool. And I finished that. There was basically one boss. It's a lot of block pushing usually, and some timing involved puzzles. And then you get to the final boss, and you basically have to do everything that you've learned throughout the game to beat this final boss. And it was pretty challenging, actually. Fortunately, they kind of give you some checkpoints. But that was incredible. So if you have a Playdate, or I think you can get the emulator for free, and you want to check out a cool game for $15, I would highly recommend that one.
Nice. Good recommendation. Yeah.
And as you mentioned in the episode with you, I am back on Wind Waker. And we had talked before about I wanted to be able to play with the GameCube controller but handheld, right? And I bought that thing, that controller that's supposed to be Joy-Cons, and it says it's Switch 2 compatible, which it technically is, but it doesn't like strap on, right? It doesn't click in, right? It's actually Switch 1 Joy-Cons. So then I bought like the adapters. So I had this super wide Switch, and that was fine. That was working okay. But then after I played Metroid Prime 4, I started playing that on my 4K TV, and I was like, okay, I see why people play this on a TV now, right? And so I kind of didn't want to go back to playing everything handheld. So I wanted to play Wind Waker now on the TV. And so I was like, well, no problem. That is a wireless controller. I'll just, connect the two parts back together. I think there's actually a middle piece for it. And I'll play that way. It does not have the range to go the 11 and a half feet from the Switch to my couch.
Wow.
It was so laggy. Like I would have to stand in the middle of the living room to play. So I was like, man, what a piece of crap.
That's sad.
Yeah. Then I remembered that I have an 8-bit G-Bros, I think, adapter where you plug an actual GameCube controller into this little like lipstick sized thing. Then that wirelessly connects to your Switch. So I tried that and I couldn't get it to connect. So I did some Googling and it's like, oh, there's a new firmware so that it works with Switch 2. So then I had to like download the firmware updater, like do that, get that going, connect that to the Switch, get the GameCube controller plugged in. The GameCube controller does not work with GameCube games and NSO Plus.
Oh my God.
It's like the buttons aren't mapped correctly or something. And I probably could have remapped stuff. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to spend the $80 on the official Nintendo GameCube wireless controller for Switch 2. I bought one of those. It works great. I should have done that to begin with.
It's nice, isn't it?
Money and trouble. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean,
it's
playing
hefty.
it last night.
Yeah.
Playing it last night, and just like old times. My favorite controller, by the way, the
Mine
GameCube.
too.
I know that's a hot take, but
I didn't think that until recently. I haven't come to that conclusion until maybe last week. But I'm with you.
So, what have you been up to?
I've also been up to Wind Waker, but that'll be a Game Club game soon, as we discussed. So I will leave.
Great.
Comments
I'll
aside.
have something to say on that one.
We decided we can't afford a house in Sydney, so we stopped that search, which is really depressing.
Well, the pressure's off.
So I did buy a DVD shelf from Amazon so I could finally start getting games out and displaying them here. Like I have a little corner. I'll put photos up in Discord once I get more games there out of storage, but yeah, it'll be fun going through those, and I will also finally start unboxing some of those analog consoles that I've had boxed up for so long. So I probably only have room for 2 of them at a time. So I love listener feedback. It's probably going to be 2 weeks before I could even, we just said we're both busy with work and stuff. So probably 2 weeks before I can even think about unboxing some of those, but I'd love listener feedback on which ones I should do first. I have the Duo, I have the Sega one, I have the Nintendo one, the newer N64 analog one. I have the Vectrex, or maybe the Sprint, the Intellivision Sprint.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I like that you are outsourcing your decision making.
Yeah, I mean, I want to only play games that I own physical of, since I have so many physical games, and I have the analog pocket that I play so many of our Game Club games with. So I'd like to stop doing that and start using actual cartridges. Now with the analog pocket, if the cart fits in there, I'll definitely use the cart. What else? I think that was about it. Should we get into some news?
Let's do it.
All right. First one is on retrorgb.com. And Bob writes this. He was actually an early interview on this podcast.
I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah, very nice guy. This is OpenKSK, which is an open source Sega CD laser board replacement. And it looks pretty cool. You can see it on github.io. Looks like you can, maybe print your own or buy them prefab and get your Sega CD Model 2 or Model 1 fixed up. It looks like this also works with the front loader Neo Geo CD, if I'm reading this right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it worked for a few things. I looked at the article and actually watched some of the video associated with it. I guess the board itself must be a common failure point. And when I was watching the video, the guy was giving some examples. Obviously, if you have old equipment, sometimes you want to recap those before the capacitors leak. Maybe you didn't get to it in time and it already leaked and now your board is ruined. But also, like when recapping, I guess that original board is kind of poor quality and you can accidentally rip the traces out. So I guess that's the reason for this to exist. Yeah. But I mean, you got to transfer all the components from the old board onto the new one, which is a lot of desoldering and then soldering. And there's quite a number of chips with a lot of leads on them. So it does not look like an easy task.
Yeah, I do not see the "we'll just do it for you" bundle, but
no, that's got to be like $500.
Yeah, that would take a lot of time. But if you just do it yourself, it seems like it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Next up from PC Guide, someone modded their ROG Xbox Ally, which is a Steam Deck type device, to play Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games. So there's that. I was going to say this must just load the ROMs, or yeah, it must just put the cart's ROM into memory, but it shows a Game Boy camera attached to it. So if that works, it must be polling live, right?
Yeah. So it works. This might as well just be a news story about the GB operator, which I think had been a news item before. But first of all, the headline says it's that the guy did it for $60, and then like all he did was buy the GB operator, which is only $50, but maybe it's like 60 Canadian or something. I don't know. But he bought this GB operator, which was something sold that you put your Game Boy or Game Boy Advance cartridge in. It works with Windows, Linux, or Mac software to basically load the cartridge into RAM, but it will save to the SRAM on the cartridge and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
And it is known to work with the Game Boy camera. So it does. There is some back and forth with the hardware. It's not just ripping a ROM and you're playing that indefinitely. But then, so they're showing, I tried to look more into this. There was a Reddit post about it, and that's been taken down. And so probably for the reasons I'm about to describe, I think the guy just has it running on the, Windows runs on the ROG Xbox Ally, right? I think he's just got the GB operator software running on
Windows
handheld, because he made a new 3D printed case for it and then bolted that into the back of the ROG Xbox Ally. And then you just see a USB-C cord that is wrapped around it a bunch of times and plugged into the handheld. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd really call it a mod of the Ally, but he, modded the case on this thing to make it a little handier to bring around.
Yeah, might be. This may have been a slow news week. It's what you're saying.
I mean, I thought it was interesting. I'm not like trying to complain about the news, but I just thought it was the title deal was a little misleading.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking into it, I'm like, okay. I mean, it's cool that he did it, but I wouldn't call it a mod of that system.
Yeah, it's really the 3D printed part that is the story. The rest of the story is man buys device that works on the device that it's for.
Exactly right. I mean, and I've done quote unquote mods before and put them online and had people who were like, "Oh, that's stupid," but like I'm trying like to have a little bit of grace here. I know what it's like to have people call out your work, But I just thought the title was a little on the misleading side.
Well, the next title is definitely on the misleading side. And I put it on here for this reason, because I was like, I spent way too much time on this, and I figured I'd take you all with me.
Great.
So Sega announces Sonic's 35th anniversary plans. And so that's the story. They came up with this YouTube video, which just shows a bunch of Sonic stuff through history. and you click on the actual website, which I am right now. So we're on Sega.com right now on the 30th anniversary page. And it says, keep coming back here for us to announce other items for the 35th anniversary.
Did you clear your cache and refresh, though?
I'm breaking the rules. So today is February 6th. The last thing they posted was from Jan 27th. And it's just some... What even is this? It's some museum heist thing. I don't even understand what... Sonic the Hedgehog presents the Chaotix case files for all major podcast platforms. So there's that. And then from the 23rd, there's the announcement of this site. And that's it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that I'm jealous of how Sega, gives the special treatment to their important IP, but apparently they're not really doing it.
Yeah, it's almost like they wish they had something.
Yeah, because Nintendo kind of glosses over a lot of important dates, I think.
Yeah, lots of missed opportunities.
Yeah, well, I mean, the video did make it look like cool stuff was on the way, but yeah, there was nothing concrete about what is on the way.
Yeah, really strange announcement. Especially, in gaming. How long before, we had, 7 years of a Metroid Prime 4 teaser? However long that was. So They could have done some teasers or something. But, yeah. More Sega news. You can now play Bandai Namco Game Gear games in the game Yakuza Kiwami 3, which I've never played, but it looks pretty cool. So, and the Yakuza games are known to have arcades and stuff where you could actually play games, but now you could play some Game Gear games in them.
I always like the idea of a game in a game. It's pretty cool. I think, supposed to be Pac-Man Galaga 91 and something else. I think they were all Game Club games, or like there were other Game Club games like in the same series. Like nobody picked Galaga 91. It was Galaga 88, 89. What's the original Galaga? And nobody ever picked Pac-Man, but almost every other Pac-Man's been picked.
Yeah. And Mappy's in here. I don't know if we've
Mappy,
had Mappy.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I think Mappy I think Hugh picked that one a while ago.
That sounds right, yeah. Speaking of Hugh, again, we mentioned him a lot in this episode. The next story is from him, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He sent it in.
So it's DOOMPods. So I guess you could play Doom on your earbuds, kind of. It's the Pine Buds Pro, which has like a 100 to 300 megahertz CPU, and it's really just a serial interface that could go to a website that streams the game to you, right?
Yep. Or if you have your own pair, you can install it on them, do it yourself. You could set up your own streaming website. I did note, though, that it was originally called DOOMPods, I guess. I don't know if you got like a cease and desist or just got spooked and changed it to DOOMPods. So then I went to check it out. I was like, I should play it just to see, be like, yeah, it works or whatever. But I couldn't get it to work. There was no queue anymore because I guess he was expecting a lot of traffic. So there was no queue anymore, and I just couldn't get it to do anything. So I presume that it did work at one point, and I don't have my own Pine Buds Pro. Otherwise, I would have installed it on them and tried it out. But it's it's interesting though. What was Doom that originally ran on a 286, 386?
I had it on a 386, so I don't know if it worked on 286. It probably did. But, I mean
that's 25 years ago. No, 35
years ago.
I'm so old.
Yeah.
But maybe closer to 40 years actually. But it's interesting to think about, the size of your PC back then versus the size of a Pine Bud. I don't know how big those are, but it can't be that much bigger than like an AirPod or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's a CPU in your head. It's in your skull.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's always fascinating to me to think about how much technology has been shrunk down. And I'm sure that's emulating, right? So it's got to be even more powerful than that PC was.
Oh yeah, I mean those are 300 megahertz, so they're probably on par with a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. See if you can get Doom 64 running on those.
Exactly.
Then I'll be impressed.
Yeah. And that is our news. No topic today, right?
I don't have one.
I don't have one. So I guess
might be on the shorter side, which is good because I usually talk too much.
And I need to get back to work, as previously stated.
Same.
So our first Game Club game was mine, and it is a Crusader of Centy. It is a Sega and Atlas game from March 95 in North America, developed by Nextech, who also developed Time Crisis, Resident Evil, Code Veronica, Shenmue, Children of Mana, and the Lupin series. So pretty prolific developer there. In 1994, Sega announced it would release 7 RPGs for the Genesis and the Sega CD under the Project Mega Roleplay title. And so this was part of that. 95 is pretty late for a Genesis release. You already had, PlayStation out there and stuff like that, and Sega CD. This is a Legend of Zelda-like, so top-down action RPG. It is definitely not as good as A Link to the Past. I'd say it has a better battle mechanic than Neutopia, but it has a worse story, and I'd say the graphics are about on par with Neutopia. I haven't played Neutopia 2 yet, but I feel like that one is probably a bit better than this. You play a 14-year-old boy named Corona that must inherit his late father's sword to fight the monsters that have taken over the lands to save the human race. Obviously, there are a few plot twists in there that I won't spoil. Early on, you lose the ability, early on meaning like the first 3 minutes of the game, you lose the ability to speak to humans, so you can only talk to animals. So you go around, you convince a bunch of these animals to follow you around. And this is where you get your abilities. So you get speed, freeze, you get like a long sword throw. You could kind of get your sword like bouncing off walls and stuff, which is pretty cool. It's a really fun mechanic. The second half of the game, you could speak to humans again, and you also it's all about time travel at that point. And you travel back in time to see why the monsters are so angry at humans. So, like I said, between the first and second half, it's a very Link to the Past setup. I personally had a hard time sorting out which time I was in and how time travel even worked. It was not as obvious as like A Link to the Past or Chrono Trigger. I wouldn't call the puzzles in this interesting. Some of them are clever and they add to the level design. They're often a bit obtuse. And, it's stuff like having to jump to a very specific spot or doors that don't look like doors. Like, you're trying to figure out where to go and it just doesn't look like you could exit the room from that, part of the wall or whatever.
That does not sound like fun.
It's not the whole game like that. There's just a few where I was like, oh, that's an exit? Okay. I think I actually had to look at a video once to be like, how do I get past this? And there is, I played this on the Analog Pocket, so it could have been the small screen, made it so it was hard for me to tell. There's a lot of need to talk to that person more than once to get the info you need, like, once after another.
Yeah.
Which I hate that. I love to complain about it, but in every game I love, it tends to have that for some reason. Sometimes
you get one of those in a game. I'll give you one, but if you have to do that with multiple characters, that's so annoying.
It is really annoying. And then there's a lot of, you need to talk to everyone in the room, or there's one puzzle, and I'm not complaining about this, I'm just like talking about different puzzles, where it's a cliff that you need to get across, and there are birds flying overhead, and there are invisible platforms. You don't know they're invisible platforms, but you could see their shadow, lightly on those. So it's stuff like that where you have to be really observant. And again, on a tiny Analog Pocket screen, that I didn't notice that at first.
I have a question for you. If it's a Legend of Zelda-like, are there any fetch quests? Like where you have to go, bring the seashell to the old lady and she gives you a broom that you take to the witch.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Yeah, there's a bit of, I don't know if it was fetch quests or just favors you need to do, but yeah, there's definitely a bit of that to get the animals to follow you is where that comes in often. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Music is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's definitely passable. The enemy design is really uninspired and forgettable, and they're also a bit too easy, which you won't hear me say very often. The slowdown in this game is inexcusable. You'll seriously have like 3 to 5 sprites on the screen, and you're in a slideshow. And way worse than the original Zelda on the NES.
I wonder why that is.
That all said, I really like this game. I would recommend playing it if you like ARPGs. It's among the most expensive carts. So if you go online on eBay, it's about $1,600 right now. Probably because it's such a late Genesis game and no one bought it. We do need to talk about the manual. It's a fantastic, thick manual. And halfway through the manual, it just says, stumped? Well, there's spoilers ahead. And then the rest of the manual is a game walkthrough.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I have. I mean, I don't, outside of the maybe half dozen NES cartridges I had as a kid, I don't think I've had a physical game manual that I've looked at.
Yeah. In fact, that's one reason why I love collecting physical, is I love those manuals. But, this game really got me thinking, if someone born in the late 70s like us played The Legend of Zelda for the first time in 2026, would they like it? Like, how would they feel about it? Would they have the exact same complaints I do about this game? Or is The Legend of Zelda just an amazing game? Which I think it is. So
it's a good question. I do want to thank you for assuming I was born in the late 70s. I don't know. I haven't gone back and played the original Legend of Zelda in a long time. I've farted around with it a little bit when the little Game & Watch size one came out. And maybe I should pick it up and play it at some point. I do remember loving it though as a kid, and like it was incredible. So
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't play it. Maybe I won't like it anymore. Just leave the rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah.
I did watch. I had intended to play this somewhat, and I did start it up. Actually, started up the European version. I think it is called Soleil. Right, same game, different title. I did notice though that the title screen was a little more dramatic for that one. I don't know if you checked that out.
No, I didn't.
It
kind of
does like it does like this left to right, like draw in like the pixels coming across almost of the title Soleil. It was kind of cool. Hadn't seen an effect like that on the Genesis before, I don't think. But anyways, I ended up skimming a long play just to get the idea, and yeah, it looked like a Zelda-like with kind of Sonic-inspired music. Certainly at the beginning, I thought it was Sonic-inspired, and then later on, I think it's Genesis music. So that's always going to remind me of Sonic.
Yeah.
I saw one part where you're fighting a wolf or a werewolf, and you beat him, and he says, "Oh, poop."
Yeah, I think I actually took a screenshot of that.
Yeah, that was great. That made me laugh. I don't know how, of the 3 hours or whatever, I don't know how I landed on that part, but that was funny.
Well, actually, I think there's a lot of dialogue like that, kind of silly dialogue.
So I think that could make it a little more interesting to play then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did not have the time.
Yeah, and again, when I play games like this, I usually wait till I beat them or get far enough through them and then choose it as a game club game. So if I'm picking it, I feel like I should be able to talk about it. So I don't expect others to be able to that much, for big games like this. But like I said, it sounds like I dogged on this a lot, but I did enjoy it. I would recommend it, especially that it's on Switch Online. If you have Switch Online, definitely check it out. Were you able to check out Hughes's game?
I was, but real quick, I wanted to talk about what did I pick last time? I can't remember the name of it. Spellcaster.
Yes.
Because you said I wait until I'm almost done and then I pick a game, and that's fantastic advice because it was just the reason I picked Spellcaster was in my freshman year of college. My roommate had a Sega Master System and a black and white TV, and I played that game a good chunk of the way through. I was like playing it too much.
Wow.
To the point where it's starting to affect my grades, I think. And I never got the chance to finish it. I didn't even couldn't remember the name of it, but I remembered like specific things about it. And I just kept searching till I knew it was on Master System. So how many games could it be, right? And I finally found it. I was like, okay, I'm going to pick that one because, I do want to finish that game. And then didn't think about the fact that I had no time. So it was actually extremely fortuitous that Hugh knew so much about the game without having to replay it or anything. So that was why I picked it. And I think going forward, I need to be a little more conscious about my free time in making those picks or actually finish or come close to finish playing it before I pick it. So.
Did you have any comments that were left out of that episode that you wanted to bring up this time? Or?
No, because I barely remember the game. I mostly remember fighting this boss that was like, I couldn't remember if it was like a dragon or a centipede, but it would fly like across the screen and then back. And I remember fighting it forever and not knowing if I was actually damaging it. And then I finally beat it. And I think that's as far as I made it. So that's what I was going on to try to find it. But I remembered really liking the game. So I should go back and play it still.
I'll link you to Hungry Goria's review of it because she does a fantastic job with it.
Yeah.
And if any of our listeners want that in Discord, just message in Discord and I'll put it in the public area. But Destruction Derby, did you have any time for that one?
I did. I saw that you had written down the who made it and whatnot. So I took that out of my notes and now I don't have them.
Okay, I'll start with that one. Yep. Destruction Derby, later on Nintendo 64, which is the one Hugh picked. But it's also for PlayStation and I think Saturn, developed by Looking Glass, who is, I already said this before, a prolific studio. I mean, they have done a lot. This is published by THQ, September 30th, 1999. Here, I'll just run through mine quickly since I'm already talking.
Yeah, that's fine. That works.
It has 24 cars and more than 12 courses. I'm saying more than 12 courses because I copied that from Wikipedia. I didn't play every single course, so I don't know the exact number. And this one adds split screen multiplayer, which is really cool.
Nice.
So it is
you can do 4-player, I take it?
Yeah. And it is, like it sounds, a destruction derby game. So you're not trying to be the last car standing. That's the weird part of this. It's all about points. So the first few tracks are what they are. They're tracks. And a few cars start in one direction, a few cars start in another direction, and you kind of meet in the middle. And it's about the balance of getting through the checkpoints because you get more time and points for every checkpoint you get through. And for every head-on collision you have, you get more time and many more points for that. And each car has a certain number of like bars, like life, I guess, until you explode. So it's really a balance of racking up those points without getting to the point of exploding. So lasting as long as possible while racking up points. And you could get, this happened to me a lot, you could be not the last car standing and you can win. So you don't have to last the entire time. The tracks do get pretty lonely near the end.
Yeah, it's kind of boring when there's not that many cars left.
Yeah. So luckily, the fun starts, I think it's level 3, track 3, I should say, where it is like it should be, a demolition derby. just like the 1985 Bally Midway game, but it's in 3D. So you're in an arena. There's not really a track, and you're trying to run into each other. This definitely, you have really 3 buttons other than, left and right. You have your gas pedal, your brake, and turn the camera to be behind you, because in areas like this, you're going to be driving backwards quite a bit. There are no leagues. There are different difficulty levels. So once you get through the novice difficulty level, you'll just select to go to the normal or whatever the next is. And I remember around 2008, I would say around that time frame, I remember seeing this in every resale store, like, Funko Land or whatever, for dirt cheap. I don't know why this was everywhere. Maybe it just sold really well back then, when it came out. But but it's not as cheap now. This game is really addictive. I really enjoyed playing it. I only played Destruction Derby 64. I did not do the PlayStation or Saturn one, but I do understand, since this came out years after those two, it does look much better. The music is very Psygnosis with reason, so it sounds like, a Wipeout game, which is a compliment. And the graphics are great. It's bright. It looks much better than most Nintendo 64 games. You could definitely tell it was late in the console, or kind of late. Like I said, the graphics are great, but it's bright, it's beautiful, it's colorful, and there's absolutely no fog at all.
Yeah.
So those are all my notes. What did you have on it?
I think this might be the first N64 game I ever played.
Wow. Okay.
I never had one. I played like Ocarina of Time, but the GameCube port of that. So I think this is the first time I played an actual, not a physical N64 I had to emulate, but I did play it a little bit, and I think you answered a lot of my questions. Like, I was like, why are there checkpoints? Like, what is going on? Because like the first round that I did, it took me a while, but I figured out the voice going like, 8 down, 3 to go, or whatever. And I finally figured out that it was counting down the number of cars that were left.
Yeah. Gruesome deaths.
Yeah. Also, I'm surprised that with it being on a cartridge, that they used the space that it would take to get the voice samples, because they sounded good.
Yeah, they really did. Yeah.
I was like, maybe there was 6 other cars I think left on the first game, the first round that I played. And then it's like waiting for other cars to finish. It's like, well, how long do I have to wait? And then I think it just kind of does it quickly in the background.
Yeah.
It didn't take long. And then it was like, you win. I'm like, how? But I guess I did a lot of checkpoints. And I remember the first thing I did was to run into another car and just keep driving right into it, because I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that counts and helps you a lot with points. But
yeah, and time. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it controlled pretty well, and I thought it looked really good, just as you did. It reminded me a lot of the track stages anyway. Reminded me a lot of Cruising USA. And I just had an obsessive thought in my head, as I often do. And so I looked into Cruising USA, and I guess that was originally one of the first games designed for the Ultra 64 hardware, which was what turned into the Nintendo 64, but not really, apparently. It was always just designed for the Midway V unit arcade board.
Well, and then we had Dan Hess on this podcast who did the music and sound effects for that game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. The lens flare was a nice touch. It was a little bit extra flary, but I thought that was kind of cool.
It was very J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Yes. He must have played that game a lot.
Yeah.
Then I was just thinking that, like, if this was if I had an N64 and I had this game, I think I would have played it a bunch. I did mean to try the Saturn and the PS1 versions, but I didn't have a chance. But I did look at some gameplay footage, and as you said, the N64 version looks way better than both of those. And I think the PS1 kind of edged out the Saturn a little bit, but they're both kind of smeary and blurry.
Yeah, yeah. And they feel like they're a bit more the muted colors of the time instead of the bright colors that this one had.
Yep.
I did find the controls a bit floaty. That's not a complaint, because it created situations where, especially in the track stages, where if you go over a slight hill and you're really, at top speed, you'll do a little jump over the hill. And I had a few times where I went right over a car coming right at me, where it would have been a head-on collision. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I felt like it might have been the car that I picked, but I felt like the way that it handled, it felt like it had a lot of weight in the back of the car. And I thought that was interesting that you could get that feeling by playing a video game. And I had zero haptic feedback too. I didn't have the rumble pack or anything going. So I don't know. I guess that's credit to the developers on that.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we're both saying good game.
Yeah, good pick.
So what do you want to play next?
I am sticking to my word and picking something short. I'm picking an arcade game. It's called Gyruss. It's basically, it looks like kind of like Space Invaders if you were looking down a tube.
Yeah, so this is a good game.
It's a little more complicated than that, but I did play real quick to make sure that this was going to be an adequate choice. It's something I heard it mentioned on a podcast recently, and I was like, oh yeah, I should look into that game. Specifically, they said something about the music being Toccata in Fugue by Bach. So I look forward to hearing that. But I wanted to pick something that wouldn't take a huge investment of time to be able to discuss it a little bit. And it looks fun. Oh, and you can play it on arcade.org. Is that the website? The Internet Archive. In some PlayStation 1 arcade game collection. I'll put the link in the show notes. So it's going to be a few more selections to actually get to the game, but it works. I checked to make sure.
Cool. Well, I'm going to do Mario Brothers. We've done Super Mario Brothers. We've done 2, 3, Doctor 64, Sunshine, and Kart, but not the original.
All right. With the power block.
That is on. So there's so many ways you could play that game.
Yeah.
And if any of our listeners played Gyruss, Mario Brothers, Destruction Derby, Crusader of Centy, if you play Doom on your earbuds or Game Gear in a Yakuza game, if somehow you know what's going on with Sonic 35th Anniversary, or if you plug in a device that's supposed to work with your Windows box and works with your Windows box, or if you build your own Sega CD laser board, please contact us. Email at retrogameclub.net. That is email at retrogameclub.net. Hit us up on Discord. Link is in show notes. We're on pretty much every social platform. Hit us up there. We do have an email from Hugh talking about his game, Destruction Derby. He said it's a little unfair to compare it to the PlayStation version since it was years apart, but he thinks it looks a lot better. The Battle Royale mode is way easier since there are places you can camp out at, which makes sense. And then we do have a social media question of the episode. Do you still play any of your classic mini consoles? If so, give some details. Which ones, why? And this one was inspired by Guido's comment from last episode. So let's see. Starsky says no, he never got his hands on the NES one. He has the SNES Classic and enjoyed his time with it, but now the Switch has all those games at better quality, which is a very fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was very good timing for Nintendo. They released these and then they did the Switch Online stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah. Get all the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Eric from the Pacific Northwest writes in, yes, he's played them. It's been a while. Most of them are boxed up. The SNES one he does have in his travel bag. The Neo Geo one is in his entertainment center, but he hasn't played it in 3 or 4 years. The NES Classic is loose somewhere. PS1, PC Engine, and Sega, both Sega Genesis Minis are all boxed up. And the Sausage King of Chicago says he played the Sega Astro City, mostly the Space Harrier game on it. And I wanted to ask him, if he could write in and say how well that one plays, because whenever I play the arcade port of Space Harrier, I have to emulate it because I don't have the arcade cabinet, but it gets weird because only in that version it pulls you back to the center.
Right. Yeah.
So I wonder if that port on the Astro City does that as well, or if it's maybe one of the console versions. I don't know.
It's not. I'm trying to remember because I did play that quite a bit in the arcade. It was kind of like a flight stick, right? In the arcade.
Yep.
And then, yeah, you'd steer left and right, but if you just let go, you drift back to the center, right? It wasn't like it wasn't a 1-to-1 correlation to the position of the controller. You know what I mean?
It feels like it was a bit delayed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder how that does work out. Also, still love the name, Sausage King of Chicago.
Yeah, so I hope he writes in and lets us know how that works. And just my notes on it, all mine are boxed up. But I have been going back and watching some reviews from back when each of those came out. And I do want to say that I think the TurboGrafx one is the coolest one in terms of visual presentation and like how it loads the carts and all that. Now with the PlayStation one, you could hook up a USB CD drive.
Oh, cool.
And use real PlayStation games with it. It's just a firmware update. I had no idea.
That's interesting. Yeah. That they provided, or
oh no, it's a hacked firmware.
Okay, all right, yeah,
Total hack.
That's also fine, but it would I would have been very impressed if Sony was like, yeah, why not?
But wow, I'd love to know how that works. So if any of our listeners gets a chance to play with that, please let us know how that works. Even take some video
Whoever
of
I gave
it.
mine away to.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I never remember who it is. I keep thinking it was PNW Eric, and he's like, no, that wasn't me.
Because I think he won the
Oh yeah, the
PlayStation thing.
It plugs into the back, like the IO something.
That's right, the PSIO. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. That's
that thing is pretty cool still.
Yeah. So whoever won my PlayStation Mini, check that out with the USB CD drive, and then tell us about it.
And then I think the Genesis one, probably the first Genesis one. The Genesis one has the best game list. And when I had them, when I was using them, I would hack them and put even more games on it. And they always, you could just download the original firmware and unhack them. But now I think it's cool to leave them as they were intended. It's kind of a snapshot in history, a little curated list.
There's so many ways to emulate, like, that are probably going to be better. So, yeah. Yeah, my answer in short would be no. Because most of the retro stuff that I have, most of the retro stuff that I want to play can be played on NSO Plus. And that's just much more accessible. I mean, I walk over and pick up the Switch and I'm ready to go, right?
Yep.
And I can take it wherever I want. In addition to giving away the PS1 Mini, I did sell my TG16 Mini. I a little bit regret that one because it looked really cool. But I don't know. I just have so much stuff that I don't use, and I was kind of on a tear getting rid of things. I still have the NES and the SNES and the Genesis in my fake background. That's actually a picture of really over there. And so I even fooled myself. I turned around to look, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But there's the NES, Super NES, and the Genesis is behind the Infinity Gauntlet here. But I don't think I ever took the Super Nintendo or the Genesis one out of the box. I think they're still new in box. Yeah. I did have the NES one hooked up for a little bit, the TV, trying to get my kids into it. I think they were a little too young at the time, and probably now they're too into Roblox now.
Yes.
But I like having them. I think they're cool.
Yeah, I'm glad they exist. There's even more being released, like that Commodore 64 one.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others I don't even know about. But, and there's a new Vectrex one coming out too. But so the next question of the episode, which was inspired by Crusader of Centy's manual, which games have the best manuals? Maps are also considered manuals because of Zelda and stuff like that.
or which games have the best maps.
Yeah.
Well, like physical included map.
Exactly. Yep. Not in the game.
Right. Okay, cool. I like that.
And our new Game Club games, just the same again, are Mario Brothers and Gyruss. And I think that wraps up this episode.
Yeah, I think so. I want to do one quick plug for my show. I talk about my co-hosts and I do MCU movie rankings and Alien and Predator movie rankings because of this show, Retro Game Club, where you and I did kind of a haphazard, quick Metroid series ranking.
Mm-hmm.
One of my co-hosts on the other show took issue with it, and so I said, okay, let's do it for real. And so we have a 3 hour and 15-minute episode ranking all the Metroid games where we had 5 people. We all assigned points to each game and added them up, and we saw who came out on top. Nobody was happy at the end, so it was great. Worked out exactly how I wanted. And we did that. That's about 2.5 hours of it or so. And then we did a little after show with just some of us talking about the Metroid Prime games and ranking those. So.
Yeah, I listened to that. I recommend our listeners to listen to it. It's very entertaining. It took me like 2 or 3 walks to get through.
It's a long one, but it is a little more in the wheelhouse of the audience of this show, so it might be a little bit more of interest.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So say the podcast name again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Best Podcast, The Work in Progress. And I'll put a link in the show notes. And we'll be doing some other game-related stuff this year as well.
Perfect. But, can't wait for it.
Mostly sticking to movies.
Well, all right. Well, thanks, everyone, for listening.
Take care.